We give up our personal friendships, our bonds with people. We give up our compassion and understanding of somebody that we care about because it goes against a cause we believe in. The only thing that can do that is your own pain being louder than your compassion. Get started on this video, there's three things I want to tell you. One, I am not a morning person. I am the opposite of a morning person. I was just messaging my friend and I was saying, why are you so happy in the morning? I hate you. And she replied to him like, sad. I was like, man, you don't get it. But two, if I run in the mornings, my life is good. That's awesome. And see, I never want to do it. I don't. It's like, I cannot do it. It's impossible. I have to force myself to run. But then if I run, and right now I'm in Bogota, like 8,000 feet where I'm at. Might be a little bit more, but it's pretty hard to run. I'm not ashamed of running a 15-minute mile pace. So the third thing is, I freaking hate social media. I took over a month off of it and just kind of like managing my groups on Facebook and whatnot. But then I started back on Instagram, as you may have seen, and I started back on YouTube and all this other stuff, Facebook, and dude, this stuff ruins your life, man. It's nuts. Like, why am I speaking to an audience of people that I don't know? I want to know people. Like, social media is great for knowing people and staying in touch for like my friends that live in France or whatever, and high school people or people you made friends with on the road. It's awesome for that. But it is so freaking bad to waste time and then look at this weird form of self-image and self-accept. Oh, it's so good to be off it. Okay, the fourth thing is these. So right now I'm staying in Bogota, and I have like this awesome Airbnb host, and these are all like messed up. But she brought me, Sarah, thank you. She brought me these things, which are awesome, man. Dulce naturaleza. And they're like guayaba or guava and like some other stuff. Oh man, it's so good, it's so good. And look at this Airbnb. In fact, look at it, it's like awesome. I like this picture here because it reminds me of Johnny Cassell. If you're on our clubhouse, you know what that is. But it's like super awesome, man. There's my tripod. By the way, this is a Peak Design tripod, and it like cost a lot of money. And it broke. Look at this, look at this, look at this. If I push it down, it just collapses. The good thing about Peak Design is they like do returns and all that stuff. And look, this is like my favorite, this guy here. The bonsai tree with the city as a backdrop. I've taken so many pictures of that. I got this hammock that I've never, well, why don't we sit in it? All right, now I've gotten the full experience. There we go. Anybody watching this video is probably like, let's get to the topic, Steve. The bathroom. Lots of mirrors for God knows what. Look at this. This is like stepping into the Matrix, or that Bruce Lee movie, Enter the Dragon. Who's attacking me? God, international sex symbol. That's where it all goes down, the drain. And this is my bed. But here, check this out. This is what I really like about this. These little Lego guys. My kids would be all about it. So super cool. You can go out and look at the city. There we go. Mountains of Colombia. Let's actually get to this video. Divorced men blame feminism. Women who have been beaten down by society feel less than, blame the patriarchy. People who watch too much news blame guns, the Republicans, the Democrats, the lack of guns. And let me just tell you, there's no shortage of blame, hysteria, and anger that we buy into as a culture. And it's crazy because we have people who are, let's say, in my world, divorced men who blame feminism, who say feminism is cancer and all this stuff. But then on the other side, there is a feminist who blames the patriarchy and all the nasty things that happen with men. What's crazy is these two people are saying the opposite thing, but they're the same person. And part of being that same person means that they buy into the same emergency and hysteria and anger, and we're in danger if we don't do this in order for you to buy into their cause. This type of person always compares. They always give the dramatic highlight reel of what's wrong with society to justify their cause. Anything that we could do culturally to stop that makes sense, and I think that that's important. But the last thing that we need is people that are angry, emotionally fueled, and can't think to be able to make decisions and laws and basically attack other people in order to find justice. We as a culture are trying to find justice out of fear, justice out of resentment, and not justice for the nobility of justice. Why is it the more we yell about men's rights, feminism, gun control, abortion, pro-choice, who's gonna be the next president, all these things, we don't become happier. We get more pissed off. We become more angry, less unified. We have less of an individual identity because we're reaching for the identity of the cause or whatever that is. And we don't even know these people. We give up our personal friendships, our bonds with people. We give up our compassion and understanding of somebody that we care about because it goes against a cause we believe in. The only thing that can do that is your own pain being louder than your compassion. See, we become a culture that seeks justice out of pain, resentment, and fear. And when we do that, we distort the beautiful virtue of justice. So I want to talk about this next part a little bit, and perhaps a series of videos on it, is that the healing process of all of this is very different. There's a couple pivotal moments in my life. The first one is how I grew up. I grew up very well, man. We never had to worry about food or anything, upper middle class. It was a good life, except for the fact there was a lot of abuse and a lot of things which made me feel different or less than other people. I could sit here and go down the checklist of all the things that happened to me. At a certain point in my journey, I needed to do that. That's where I started. That's where we all start. And I think this is so important for you to understand. But the healing part of that has everything to do with me and to be able to see the world without all this hate and anger and emotional chaos and confusion, and then be able to look at what is the compassion, what is the justice in this, what is the honesty in this, what is the sharing in this, what is the unity, what is my identity in this. And I'm gonna be honest with you, all of that is very painful and confusing and hard to do. The second thing in my life was my first girlfriend being kidnapped, brutally assaulted, and it was just a horrible experience. It changed my life fundamentally. The worst part about that is the guys weren't caught. I talked about this in the video the other day. Go back and watch that, it's a good one. But in that there was no justice and there was a brutal assault, and anything society or the police or whoever could do to prevent that from happening, man, I wanted that to happen. But like I said, and thankfully in that time I was already in 12-step recovery, and God, man, it saved my life, man. 17, 18 years old, and that changing you, what a good thing to have a support system of people that had dealt with a lot of trauma, and God, dude, it was amazing. But in that, I learned to let go of a lot of things, which wasn't easy, which isn't just meditating, which isn't just reading a book, which isn't just going on Instagram and seeing some stupid story. Letting go of something meant hate, diving into it, crying, not understanding why things didn't work, and then seeking out help from people who were truly wise, who could mentor me in a good road. The third big tragedy in my life was losing my kids. So the American court system took away my kids. Mental illness took away my kids, whatever you want to call it, man. It was not the right thing. And later on in that whole story, it was said to be a tragic mistake by all parties involved. So I could sit there and say, I was damaged. But more importantly, I could sit there and say my kids were damaged. They were damaged in ways that are going to affect them in the rest of their life. But life is going to give them that. And this could have been prevented maybe by society and the court systems, but we need to learn a more important lesson here. From all three of those things is life is going to give you hardships no matter what. And the road to healing it is not yelling on social media or going up to somebody who you dated and you're angry about them, or somebody making a comment and so you cancel them. The moment we start dealing with our pain in an impersonal way, not looking at ourselves, not knowing that the road to healing this pain is holding the hands within us and making peace with that, the more we put our pain out there in the world. And that is what is happening. What I hate about this hysterical culture is whenever I talk to somebody who's really into men's rights, whenever I talk to somebody who's really into feminism, they always give me a highlight reel of what the tragedies are of violence, of guns, of sexual assault, of all these different stuff. And what I hate about that is they're trying to use comparison of something which isn't even their pain to sell me on their idea for their cause, which has noble justice behind it. And they've polluted it. And I always want to tell them, man, you want to compare pain, I bet you I got you beat. And man, I don't want a comparison. I don't need a comparison to heal. But you need a comparison to tell me about why you can disrespect me or other people, and that is BS. The fact that that is celebrated by our culture, the fact that that is seen as being a strong man or a woman or somebody who stands up for themselves is crap. Because let me tell you something, man, I have had to work through some tragedies in my life, and they're really bad, and they were really sad, and they were unfair. But what's worse than that is I know people with 10 times more problems that have worked through it in the same way, and they never did that. Those people that had real pain, that had abductions, tortures, man, I don't even want to say it because the level of abuse and tragedy is so high of what I've seen, especially in recovery. But in order to heal, those people never had to get in somebody's face and disrespect them because they said something or mentioned something or maybe represented the archetype of what a bad man or a bad woman or a bad whatever was. And you know why? Because their pain was personal and they weren't grabbing onto the zeitgeist or the cultural expression of why we all need to be hysterical about Donald Trump or Joe Biden or whoever else. See, in all of this, we're not just disrespecting humanity, we're not just disrespecting justice, but most importantly, you're disrespecting your life. And I'm gonna come back to this because what my kids needed was a strong man who could show them that anything could happen to you in life and you can get past it. It is me actually showing them that you don't need hate and anger in order to be a good father. And that when something really, really bad happens in your life that nobody understands, and even they couldn't understand it and I couldn't understand it, if you take the right actions, you can be a great man. And again, with the emergency and the tragedy that you want to put out there and the stats of the American court system, which does need to change, the most important thing is my kids and my relationship with them, and that is personal, and that takes me achieving a level of functionality in my life where I can show them that anything can happen to you and you can still be good, that you can recover from it because life is going to give you that. And if you don't think that's the most important thing, well, wait 3, 4, 5 years and look at how much time you wasted with all of your men's rights stuff, which does have important issues, but you took in the wrong way. Man, I don't know how to end this because it just makes me so fired up. It's terrible, it's terrible. Like, where's the spiritual principles, man? Look, guys, I wanna just talk about this because our social issues are important, and they're really important, and a lot of them go against each other. There's things in feminism which are necessary and need to change. There's things in men's rights which are necessary and need to change. There's things about our violence in our culture that needs to change. Our viewpoints on certain things that are just tragic in so many ways. But the number one thing that they need is you to fix yourself. And if you fix yourself, you're not going to be yelling at society to change. You're going to be talking to people personally because your pain and your healing process was personal. And the love that you feel in yourself and what you want to spread to other people is personal. And that is what's going to be leading us into a new, perhaps, paradigm of thinking. Part of me thinks that the world will always have this chaos that just doesn't listen or care or whatever you want to call it. But even amongst all of that chaos, even amongst all the bad things and the tragedies that will continue to happen in our world, there's something which you can find that is beautiful in yourself, and it's the personal journey of sorting through the things that pained you and finding the peace within yourself so that you can share one-on-one with another human being. And man, if there is anything that you got from this video, it is to seek out the help in order to go on that beautiful, beautiful sacred journey. If that is something that interests you and you are a man, this is what my groups do. They've been doing it for over 10 years. I think 12 years at this point we have had online groups. We've had an online community where those members 12 years ago are still in the group. It's powerful, it's amazing, and men change. There's no BS behind it. What I do with people in terms of coaching works with people at a high level, and it works, man. Give me a year and your life will be changed. And it'll be changed in a way that you can't predict. But I'll tell you this, you'll be happy, you'll have clarity. And perhaps if we're starting in that place where we're seeking a lot of blame and we're really angry, we're gonna find a beauty in the world that you never knew. But you gotta work at it. That being said, guys, thank you so much. My feet are asleep. How did this happen? Let's see if I can stand. You're sitting somewhere and my feet are asleep. Oh, okay. If I fall and eat shit, I'm gonna edit that out of the video.